Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Costume Co. costume designer interview. And today, oh my gosh, I have Amy Parris. She is the costume designer for Stranger Things, which is, right up there. Just to remind us what show we're doing. And it's on Netflix. And of course, all of the episodes, all 5 seasons are out right now. So you can go and watch them, rewatch them if you want. But today I'm going to chat with Amy a little bit about the whole series, but mostly about season 5 because that's the finale season. So, Amy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This is so cool. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Me as well. And you were asking me before we started recording where I am, but whereabouts are you in the world today?
I'm in Atwater Village, which is like the east side of Los Angeles.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
I knew you were on that side of the coast.
Yeah.
But before we get started, because this is my first time meeting you, and so that people can get to know you, I just wanted to ask you. I think that's my phone ringing. Sorry. I just
Okay.
wanted to ask you if you would mind telling me a little bit about yourself and how you got sort of this bug for costume design and your interest in that.
Sure. Sure. I grew up in California, which is kind of adjacent to Hollywood, right? And I always loved going to movies. And I remember like my parents, like, and my little sister, we'd always go to like the theater on the weekends. And it was just like, I just loved movies. And I wanted to go to, I loved sewing. I was sewing with my grandma and I was making clothes. And I went to this FITM exhibit, which is in downtown LA when I was like, I think I was pre-college. I think it was like high school. And I wanted to kind of figure out what school I wanted to go to. And they had an exhibit and these beautiful vintage clothes were on display. And I was like, dude, it'd be so cool to be a costume designer, like for that to be a job. I grew up in Murrieta, which is a small town, south of LA. And to go like, how do I make it up to LA? Like how do I make it to Hollywood? So I didn't go to FITM. I went to Long Beach State, which is still in Southern California, and found that they had a fashion design and fashion merchandising program, which I joined. And we had fashion shows. So I got to like tote my sewing machine to school every day and sew and put on fashion shows. So college was actually quite fun. And near the end of school, I started designing like music videos and independent films for my friends because they were also in like film programs and doing similar things. That led me to somebody who was doing a non-union project and then like reality TV. At one point, I started like I was a PA on season 4 of America's Got Talent. Like I
Oh,
started small,
that's
but doing
amazing.
big things. Yeah. And it
Yeah.
was the excitement of that show was so big. So, kind of just always knowing I wanted to do something, which I think is lucky because I think a lot of people aren't always sure what they want to do. But I aimed high and I just kept aiming for like this big job. And then I kind of worked towards it and I got it. So, in a nutshell, that's how I landed here.
That's amazing. It's such a common journey that I hear. A lot of people
Yeah.
are like, "What's this costume design thing? I'm able to do this for a living? How
Yeah.
incredible, right?"
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I wanted to tell you first off. So after season 1 aired, I did a whole analysis of it. I was just totally obsessed with the show, and I think I mentioned, or maybe you didn't read it, but I'm the same age as Nancy and Steve would have been in high school. So of
Cool.
course, I immediately was like, "Oh my gosh!" I even
Yes.
like I'm laughing because I even have sort of my Molly Ringwald
I
hair
love it.
today.
I love
Yeah.
it.
I've gone back to that
So
80s
cute.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but what about you? Like you came in a little bit later, and when you came in, what was that like for you and that transition? And also how did you get
Yeah.
involved with the show? This is a lot of questions I'm
That's
asking you.
okay. That's okay. I came in season 3 and was obviously intimidated because I was already a fan of the show. In fact, I remember watching after season 2, they did like an interview show, like an after show, right? Where like Sean Levy, who's one of the producers, was talking to cast. And I just thought, wouldn't that be cool to work on that show? I was in Atlanta at the time working on a different Netflix show. Never thought they would call me and say, hey, do you want to be interviewed for Stranger Things? But they did. And of course, I was like, absolutely, I want to. And so I was super nervous, but I got to meet with the Duffer Brothers, who are about the same. We're about the same age,
Mhm.
so I was daunted, but I was comforted knowing that like the showrunners and the directors of this project and I would have similar references and similar like pop culture icons that we would know. And, being the same age, we kind of experienced the 80s at the same time. So that made me feel a little better. And then meeting the cast, they've already been through 2 seasons of it. So they know the characters so well. So I didn't go in going, this is what it's going to be now. This is the look. I went in going, does this feel like Nancy? Does this feel like 11? And really asking them and leaning on them if that it felt right. And once we felt like we were on the same page, then we introduced the Duffers into it and kind of show them looks and feel similar. So it was super nerve-wracking, to become the designer of one of my favorite shows. Like, and I still look back and go like, how did I do that? Like it was almost an out-of-body experience for 7 years, like getting to do it. It was so cool. So I think that answers some of your questions.
No, it does. And actually, and the fact that you're saying 7 years is crazy because you did 3 seasons over 7 years because we had such gaps in
Correct.
between, correct? Right?
Correct. It ended up being about a decade of work for the whole team that stayed on.
Yeah.
So to get to be part of 7 years of it, I feel super grateful.
Well, anyway, one of the things I wanted to ask you, so, we meet these, young people,
Yeah.
the young characters at any rate, when they're quite young. And then, we go through this journey with them and there's quite the journey and it, even though season one had some sinister elements, it just seems to be getting darker and darker. So what's that
Yeah.
trajectory like for you? Like that you're taking these characters from a little bit of a lightness and then into the dark and then eventually back to the light. And we can show
You're
some
right.
pictures after, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting you point that out because seasons 1 and 2 were shot in the fall. They're meant to be fall of Hawkins. Season 3 is now like summer and there's a mall. So we bring in color, we bring in pattern. Season 4 is spring break and we see California and we see Russia and we see Hawkins. But now it's season 5 and they're in quarantine. They don't have access. The mall's broken, right? They don't have access to the outside world really. So things need to be darker and it's fall again. So I really wanted to kind of bring back the feeling and the silhouettes of seasons 1 and 2, just to bring it back full circle and make it really kind of encapsulate the show and feel like here's our closet again. So I've toned down the colors. I like thickened up the fabrics, less pattern, less splashy 80s and a little bit more serious because it is a serious dark season. So yeah, you see it in the color, the fabric, the tone, everything kind of was brought down a little bit more before it was brought back up.
Yeah. Now the other thing I was going to ask you about is all the homage to, all of these wonderful 80s movies and
Yeah.
shows that we grew up on, like Stephen King.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that I have 2 teenage boys, so I've been rewatching all of these 80s movies like Back to the Future, Jaws,
Cool.
and then the Goonies.
Yeah.
So I did read that there was an homage for 11 with Josh Brolin from
Yes.
Goonies. But also, even Ellen Ripley, we have some of that. What inspirations did you use aside from some of those? And I have a few pictures. So here's 11, in that sort of workout wear that she's wearing.
Right.
Fun.
So fun. And I feel like that's I keep saying it's a micro trend that was happening in the
Mhm.
80s. It was real. A lot of people are like,
No, it
"What?"
was absolutely real for
Thank
sure.
you. I know.
Yeah.
But I get a lot of internet comments that are like, what is that? I'm like, well, you're too young to know that was totally a thing.
Mhm.
And I liked showing stuff that was kind of ugly in the 80s because not all of the 80s was pretty. Every decade goes through things where they show things that are not flattering or not great. So the nice thing about working with the Duffers, they're so collaborative. And as long as I didn't make her look too cool, they were fine with me, like kind of going out on a limb and making things a little strange because it is a strange show. I mean, these are people that are battling monsters, right? So
It's got the word stranger in it. Stranger
Exactly.
things in it.
So let's have fun with it, and Dustin in a trench coat felt so
Oh,
right, like
yeah, I knew guys who wore those, by the way. Yeah.
exactly. And he's in mourning now because
Yeah.
he's lost his friend Eddie. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, ultimately I would have loved to like have a gag where we could have put some stuff like in his sleeve or something like Goonies, but we didn't, that wasn't written into the script. And so I try to follow the direction of the Duffers and I try not to like make my own part that they have to like direct into the film. But it's fun when I get little like moments where they write something in, like they mentioned how like Dustin had been in his Weird Al shirt, when they make a comment about that. It's just so
Yeah.
fun to like get to influence them a little bit.
And I was gonna say, like, here's Nancy, sort of, she's like,
Yeah.
guns a-blazing kind of thing, and so her
Right?
hair and her wardrobe, a lot of people were saying that it felt sort of like Ellen Ripley. Was that sort of what you were going for
Exactly.
here?
Absolutely, it is totally the influence, and I
Mhm.
think it just shows how much hair and makeup and props,
Mhm.
like, it all has to work together to make sense, and so I wanted to bring back some of her pieces from season 4 from her battle look, and then the hair just makes it so much better, and this season, she's also in sneakers because season 4, we
Mm.
had kind of caught her off guard in that she suddenly has to be battling, and so she's running around in a heeled boot, but we made sure that this season we'd put her in sneakers so she could run through this vast valley. Like, this is not an easy thing for these actors to be wearing these heavy garments and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I tried to keep her warm because, like, Natalia has quite a small frame and she can get cold easily, as a lot of us can. So I try to keep her in layers and keep her comfortable. But I loved this look.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so fun. Like, I just, I mean, I'm going on an Alien, rewatch binge
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yes.
My friend Carlos worked on the new Alien, so I've been just like my kids and I are like watching all the
Amazing.
aliens. Yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah.
So, with the next one I want to ask you about is, well, why don't I skip to Holly Wheeler
Okay.
because I believe they had to recast her for this season. Is that correct?
It
So,
is.
yeah.
And it's interesting because as a costume designer, I'm used to dressing the twins who were wonderful. The Price twins who played Holly up until this point needed multiples for sure, and then sometimes extra garments for photo doubles. But when we've recast Holly, played by Nell Fisher, who is such a dream, it's just her, carrying the
Mhm.
character. It's not twins anymore, which sounds like, oh, it'll be easier. She only needs one. But no, like, she also has a photo double and now she has a stunt. So I still had to make just
Mhm.
as many multiples, just on a different human. But she was so lovely and grew like a weed.
Oh,
She
yes.
became
That's always
so
the thing.
tall. She became so tall by the end of the season. So we would change our garments to, arrange that the size still matches and hits, like, this, the hem length still hits her in the same place, and the cape has to still kind of show just as much of the dress throughout her growth. So all of these characters, which was so fun to get to do and show, like, each one kind of looking a little different, but they all grew like weeds. So
Mhm.
you don't really see it in their face as much. And if you do, I'm sure they were able to adjust, with VFX and kind of make them look a little more youthful or older to match their face. But my job was to make sure that all the clothes fit them as they grew. So
Yeah, there's
yeah,
such a cute young cast. They were
so
so
cute.
so adorable. And so when I wanted to ask you about Holly though, like she starts off with some like really fun, like very bright, pastels, and her bedroom's really cool as well. Like, that's
Yeah.
the type of bedroom I'm sure every girl would have wanted back then. But she has this Holly the heroic doll, like
Yeah.
little figure that her brother
Yeah.
gives her to give her courage. And so I understand, or at least I think I saw on your Instagram that you did reference that figure and made that outfit to kind of coordinate with that. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of made in tandem at the time. We knew that the script said blue dress.
Hmm.
And so the request with props was that the dress and the figurine would look similar. So luckily they were built around the same time. And so props made the figurine. But what was added later in the script was the red kerchief, the red
Hmm.
handkerchief that is technically young Henry's from when he was a Boy Scout. So throwing that in really gave us that pop of red. So the blue, red, gold just looks so good together. And we made sure that they would paint the figurine from props to match. So it was kind of built together at the same time.
Yeah, and I think I saw a Funko Pop of her now.
It's so cool.
Isn't that
That is
neat?
the ultimate, like, amaze
Absolutely.
to see. Like, for me, the tailors, the Adrian Dyers, when we see the work that we built come to life on a doll, it's so cool.
Hmm. Now we have our core group. Someone
Yeah.
refers to them as the nerds. Our young group of people. So we've got, 11, Mike, Dustin, Lucas, and Max, who
Yeah,
they've grown up quite a bit over the last 2 seasons.
certainly.
Um, yeah. So you were mentioning a little bit about how collaborative they were. So what was your approach to dressing that group? Like when you dress them, do you kind of later like line up their photos just so you can kind of see how do they all look together and interact.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And this is such an ensemble show, so
Exactly. Yeah.
and it tracks for so long, right? So if I don't know, I don't we don't all get the scripts all at once at the beginning. The scripts come to us and sometimes can change as they go. So
For sure.
I have to anticipate that all of these characters might end up together at the same time. So I have to be very conscious of what everyone's wearing and what color they're in and what style they're in. I don't want too many hoodies, I don't want too many vests. And so I really have to keep looking at each character as we do fittings, or know that I kind
Hmm.
of follow certain colors for people, right? Like Lucas looks really great in like grays and burgundies and golds. And then like Max looks great in yellows and greens, right? And
Hmm.
11, that pop of red always kind of helps send her like bright and right into the
Yeah.
camera. So Erica, I loved her in purples this season. So there was just different kind of rules I gave myself while designing to make sure I wasn't going to like
Hmm.
overdo too much of one color or one style. But at one point during the battle sequence, I did have too many vests. Like everybody seemed to have a vest. So I had to pull away and make sure that I didn't have too much. So sometimes I edit
Oh,
my designs once I get going.
yeah, you're on the fly. You might, are you on set or you have a team on set that can sort of pull away things or add
Yeah.
things as needed. That's fun
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
that actually. Once you've done all the fittings, you're like, wait a second, let's just add this little thing here.
Exactly. Or let's change this color and let's dye it so it doesn't match that person too much. So yeah, you have to be very flexible and move things around for sure.
Now, the other two characters, of course, so we have Steve and Robin. They've
Hmm.
gone quite on the journey. So, did you join the year that they did the Ahoy when
Yes,
they were working in the mall? Oh my gosh, so
I
fun! I went
did.
to I did a cosplay event, and I had a couple of people dress up in those costumes at the
Ah,
cosplay event. So that was really fun. Yeah,
that one's
uh,
special because that was one of my first like original designs for the show to show the Duffers. So that one's like holds a special place in my heart.
yeah. So, do you want to tell me a little bit about Robin? Like, she was a little bit of a late addition, and then also Steve because we've had him since
Yeah.
season one.
Yeah.
He's sort of our
So
action hero.
right. It was my first season designing for the show, so I got to do that. And I knew the Duffers said they wanted them to kind of be a little not hokey, but be almost a little embarrassing, be the kind of like garments and outfits that Steve would be embarrassed trying to pick up chicks in, but he can still do it, or still try to do it because he's Steve.
Of
And
course, he's got
And
that great
Robin,
hair.
yes,
Look at him. Even covered in
uh,
schlep or whatever
I
that stuff
know
is, mucus, he still
he's
looks stunning.
stunning. He looks so good.
He looks so good.
And Robin is so cool. So Robin still makes it look so good, right? Like
Yeah. They're
Robin
so
can wear
cute there.
anything and look great. I know. Oh, what a beautiful cast. So, I tried to make it be something that could be goofy, but also kind of just look iconic. So they both have like big, kind of long 80s shorts. And, Robin gets a vest. He gets like a sailor shirt. They both get the Ahoy hat. And, I tried like a flat sort of pancake hat that didn't work out. That was more sailor, like official, but then the Ahoy hat just looked so like iconic, and then putting Ahoy on it just felt like the best like goofy way to sell a uniform. And so
Absolutely. They
they
have the name tags,
yeah,
because I know I used to work at I worked at McDonald's or something when I was in high school, and we had to wear
sure.
name tags. And then your friends from high school would come in and make fun of you.
Yes, it was that. And Joe Keery, who plays Steve, came up with the idea of having us make like a banana a holster for the ice cream scoop.
It's so
So it's
clever.
like a jokey thing we made out of cloth that he could sort
Mhm.
of spin and put in his holster like a gun, just try to cool it up. It was really cute.
Okay, well, one of the things we haven't talked about yet. Well, first of all, the size of this cast is because it's such a massive ensemble, and they keep adding it every year.
Yeah.
Must have just been colossal. I mean, you probably have just an amazing team who were able to support you.
Yes.
But the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is all of the stunts and the action and the dirt and the blood and the like whatever that mucus was, as I was mentioning on Steve. So do you want to tell me a little bit about this, just the enormity of this season? And then also, because I mean, I guess where possible, you're doing practical, but then, you'll have some effects, I gather, after. But did you do a lot of practical in terms of the
We
blood and
did.
the dirt and the gore and the all that?
We did. I mean, we're obviously not using real human blood by any
Oh,
means,
really?
or real Demogorgon blood. But there are
Well, that's
recipes.
disappointing.
There are recipes we follow so that it can also be the same amongst like makeup and hair when they apply it. For example, this season it was new to do the melty room. That was that
Oh,
goo.
that was crazy. That
That
room
was
was
new,
nut
and
bar.
so there was a lot of like R&D, a lot of research and
Yeah.
development to get that right
Hmm.
amongst all departments.
Yeah.
And one challenge that is not often known is like we shoot out of order. So
Sure.
the first thing I had to do was like after they had been in that melty room, and we're like, what does that look like? Because who's ever been in a melty room?
Hmm.
It's one thing to like fake blood. Fake blood is easier because you know what that looks like. But all this like extra like goo and melty stuff is kind of all researched internally as far as like how is this going to look, and then how does it dry, and then how does it play. So like the melty room we used originally like a real sort of like clay slip for ceramics mixed with like a methacellulose, but it would crumble off. And so as much as it looked great on the clothes, I had to consider like I can't have an actor walking through set and crumbling and making a mess for all other departments. So we had to make it a little bit more permanent, and then we had to make sure it would move on the actor and not be too hard. So there's a lot of research and development that goes into each scene with each goo or each blood. And then I show it to the directors to say, is this the amount you're anticipating? Is this the amount you need? Do you need more? Do you see less? And sometimes we apply it right before they go on camera, because I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to over blood or over goo and then show up and they're like, that's too much. So sometimes I'll use a Procreate app and I'll have a picture of the actor, and I'll kind of use with like a graphic to kind of say, is it this much dirt? Is it this much dirt or this much dirt? And I have levels to kind of give them a visual to go off of. So my team can then say, this is how much we're going to apply. So there's a lot that goes into that for sure.
Yeah, I can't even. It was funny. I watched Stranger Things, the finale, with my husband, and he was saying there is apparently a gray goo theory,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
terrible. That could actually like there is like a I don't know. It has to do with nanos, I believe. So anyway, that would be a horror story if that ever happened, because I can't imagine being in that room.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a picture of that room, but I know
it's okay.
exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we just touched on a little bit. You have to work, closely, I imagine, with the hair and the makeup people, and to get these wonderful cohesive looks. Did you want to tell me about that? And have you been working with the same team for the last 3 years?
Yeah.
3 seasons, I should say.
Yeah. The hair department head, hair designer is Sarah Hinsgold, and she has been on all seasons. So she's one of the like 10-year marks, right? She's been there. And then makeup seasons 3 and 4 were Amy Forsythe, and then season 5 was Erin McKesh, and all were such a dream to work with. And then props, we had different props people each season, but props I also think is underlooked at how important they are and vital they are. I mean, everybody's so important, but I always kind of include props in my stuff because I like props to know what they're wearing, but then we collaborate because a designer will sometimes be asked to do the purses and the watches, which is technically a prop thing, but it feels so much a part of the outfit, right? So within working with a lot of these people each season, it's nice to have a shorthand when you can say, oh, can you make her look like so and so, or it's going to be the makeup like blah blah blah. So
Mm-hmm.
having that relationship with them and being able to text them photos and inspiration pics, or say, here's what my fitting was, here's what I hope to get approved, so that after a fitting with me they go to hair and then they can play around and kind of decide what their hair is going to be based on the outfits. And so it's so collaborative, and it's so important to have a good relationship with your team.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of things I was going to ask you in particular, because like, here's Joyce, by the way, like
Hmm.
amazing Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
I was laughing because I believe she's had this jacket since season 1. Is that correct?
Yes, she has, but get this.
It's so Joyce to have had that.
It's so Joyce.
Yes.
So the story about that jacket's quite funny because that was a rental, and oftentimes we don't get rentals back from previous seasons. Seasons 1 and 2, I think, rented more because of time, and I
Mhm.
think I was lucky that my seasons were shot longer, so I had more prep time, and so we were able to acquire that jacket back from a rental house. It hadn't been rented since we used it for previous seasons. And I don't think anyone knew, because when it's on a hanger, it's kind of unassuming. But as soon as you put it on Winona Ryder, you're like, oh, that's the Joyce jacket, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like
So
got like raglan sleeves, I think. Like,
yeah,
it's got that sort of rounded shoulder kind of.
yep,
I love it. She can wear it open. She can do it up if she gets cold. It's very practical. I guess it's corduroy.
yeah. And I think it was made by a home sewer. I think
I
the
love
original
that.
does not have like a tag from any store or any branding.
Mhm.
And when she wanted to bring it back for season 5, I was happy to, because luckily we had the jacket, but then we had to make multiples.
Mhm.
So we had to find the right whale corduroy, because it is corduroy, but corduroy comes in, different whales and different sizes. So we had to first find the right width of corduroy whale. Then we had to dye it to match. And, there's just so much more work that goes into making multiples of a original piece than anybody realizes. But I think we ended up with maybe four of those
Oh.
jackets.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just immediately saw it because I had, like I mentioned to you, I'd done a review of season 1. I remember honing in. And also her hair kind of like, I think they were saying she was supposed to be like Meryl Streep from like one of those movies in the 80s, if I
Yeah,
recall.
was
So
it
I'm not sure where.
Silkwood, I think?
Silkwood, exactly.
Yeah,
Silkwood. Yes.
yes.
The other thing I want to talk to you about is Derek. Great addition. This kid.
So precious.
He's adorable. And I read that you actually have a relationship with Benetton, like the United Colors of Benetton. Is that correct?
Yeah, Benetton was a collaborator.
Benetton. I'm saying it wrong. Sorry.
That's okay. Benetton. They were a collaborator this season, and they're globally well known, and
Uh-huh.
they've had a presence in the States. And I don't know, do you have them up there in
We
Canada?
do, or we did. I think we still do. We did definitely in the 80s, but I think we still do. But
Exactly.
as soon as I saw the colors for that, I was thinking, oh, is that because also here Derek's wearing sort of Benetton colors there as well?
Yeah. Derek started off for me as just like primary box of crayons.
Yeah.
It was more about the colors of like primary crayon colors than it was. Benetton came after, but it
Sure.
was a seamless intro because it worked so well that sweater feels like it fits in with them perfectly. So that was a collaboration that started early to mid season and then developed into a line at the end, which was really cool.
Well, what I like about it too is you can always see where he is. Like you can pick him out. You know what I
Good.
mean? Whereas a lot of the
Yeah.
other characters, like you say, they're more muted and they kind of fade into the palette. But him, he's like pops. He pops
Can
out,
nicely stand out.
and
Yeah.
a very, I'm assuming a bit of a Goonies inspo for that as well. And Sean
Yeah.
Astin, who was also was in earlier seasons. I
Yeah.
think there's that connection.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I want to ask you about a little bit while we have a bit of time left is about the graduation, because that was like, a wonderful milestone
Yeah.
event that took place. It was after all of the violence, all of the, all the trauma that the kids and the parents had gone through.
Absolutely.
So it was like a nice celebration. And then, we were talking about how everything was so dark, but then suddenly, woo, got this beautiful, all this bright.
Yeah.
Look at Holly's dress is so cute there.
It's so over the top in
I
the
love
best
it.
80s way. I wish we could see
Amazing.
more of it. Her hair is
Yes.
kind of in the way, but she's got this scalloped collar and this like crazy sleeve. And then it's frilly at the bottom and
Yeah.
it's heart buttons. The sleeves have, pearls in between, matching headband. And what you don't catch on camera is her shoes are white, but painted with that's like a dead stock 80s fabric, that floral on the
Oh,
white.
yeah.
So we
Mhm.
painted white leather shoes to match that.
Yeah, and then
I know you'll never see him because she's sitting, but
that
like,
sucks, right? You must
but
get
the
so angry
outfit,
about that.
I
Yeah,
know.
and then, of course, there's Nancy's family. Oh, there she is again, Holly's there,
Yes.
and her
Yep.
mom and dad.
Yes.
And then, of course, we have that horrible scar. Oh my gosh. So did you sort of design around that scar on
I
Mrs.
did.
Wheeler?
I did, and Cara Buono and I talked about how we wanted her to be like proud of it. We knew
Mhm.
she would want to show that off. That's not
It's
a
a battle
woman.
wound.
Yeah, that is not a woman that's going to hide, and she doesn't want to hide that. So we looked for necklines that would showcase that scar, and we planned to see it. And the necklace adds to it. Like, she's not going to hide and stop wearing what she wears because of this scar. So I loved that outfit for her, and she looked so great with that haircut too.
Oh, it's so
good.
cute.
Yeah.
And she, it's funny because a lot of people were surprised to see that Mr. Wheeler survived. They were like, "What? He's okay?
He lives.
He lives." Exactly.
Yeah.
I actually have a picture of here. there's Karen here. This is at the end of the
Yes.
she's wearing this
Don't we
cute little
love it?
romper, or are they shorts and a little
It is shorts and a tank in this like fun,
I love
like
it.
green color. We
It's so
loved it
good.
with
Yeah,
the hair and everything. It's so good.
it's great.
Like
And then
women's 80s shorts were so voluminous.
oh, they were, absolutely. And then there she is out of her corduroy jacket. She's wearing like a nice fitted leather jacket.
That is
Yes.
a leather jacket that's similar to what she wore to Will's funeral, actually.
Oh, okay.
That was a Winona choice to wear black
Sure.
leather on a hot summer day.
No, I know it's so funny. It's a bit goth because everyone around her is wearing pastels and
It
really bright
stands out,
colors.
doesn't it? Yeah,
It does. Yeah.
definitely stands out.
That's so funny. And then of course I had this picture of Steve and Robin and her oh, look how cute her top is.
I know. That was interesting. It was like this sort of like pleated, like Edwardian kind of
Mhm.
sleeved, like moment that was vintage and just I loved how unique it was. And then we wanted to pair it with overalls, which was so fun.
It's really cute. Now,
Yeah.
but of course, the big thing is the graduation gowns. Like you went with
Yes.
this. No, I guess this is Hawkins school colors. I guess
It
this sort
is.
of really bright, vivid orange.
Yep, because Hawkins is green and orange, and so I
Hmm.
worried that putting them in green would match too much with the green grass, as you can see.
Yeah.
So we wanted it to do orange, and the funny thing about this was, these are acetate garments, right? Like
Hmm.
the gowns of the 80s were metal zippers and like hot acetate fabric, but they don't make them like that anymore. So we went on a hunt and a search to find like a lot of vintage matching graduation gowns, and that wasn't possible. And my shopper, Caroline Hodge, sorry, now Caroline Eisenhart, who she's got married, who my shopper never said,
Congratulations,
yeah,
Caroline.
my shopper never says no to something, right? But I was like,
Yeah.
we have to find them or we have to make them like they were in the 80s. And she's like, I don't think I can do that. And I was like, I know you can. So she found a friend. She has a friend that works for the company Jostens. Jostens does gowns and I think class rings. And so we were able to reach out to Jostens and go, hey, would you be interested in making these graduation gowns with metal zippers and old acetate fabric that match
Hmm.
what you would have made back in the 80s? And gratefully they did. They did, and they looked so good. And I just think if we hadn't, the gowns would look like current contemporary gowns, like
Yeah.
to the viewer's eye, they don't realize that when the fabric changes, it doesn't feel as much like the period. So I really wanted it to be seamless and just be the actual gown that would have been worn back then. So we tried hard and we made it work.
And were you doing an exterior shot here, or was it in
Yeah,
a studio?
this
Yeah. So
is
you got the
outside.
sun and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
So
actually outside.
so you can see the luster of them because they're,
Yep.
the acetate, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Oh, and then, of course, I didn't mention Dr. K. I have to ask you a
Oh,
little bit about her working with the wonderful Linda Hamilton. That must have been
Linda.
amazing.
That was such a dream. And, someone like that who's so accomplished and so like great and looks killer and amazing. I was worried that
Mhm.
she'd come in and be a little bit specific. She was ever the perfect person to dress. She was game and willing to wear anything, but also looked great in everything. So we
Mhm.
made this jumpsuit for her. It's kind of a made up military moment
I love
because
it.
this underground militia of like this military it's made up, but we wanted it to still feel very militant, so it's based off of like an 80s jumpsuit, and then we kind of amplified it by making it more like military with the insignia and stuff, and then gave her a very specific hard collar that she'd wear with the tie so that she does feel very much in charge. And I thought she looked great and she played the character so well.
It's funny because she's on another show, which is shot in Canada called Resident
Ah,
Alien.
okay.
She's
Oh, funny.
and she kind of plays like a bit of a military,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they're searching for this alien. She's
Oh,
hilarious in it. So yeah,
funny.
I love it.
Oh,
It's so
that's
fun. It's
great.
almost like it's such a nice, it must be such a full circle moment for her, being so iconic. And
Yes.
again, my kids and I have been watching, the Terminator movies. So just to
Yeah.
see her,
Do it
um,
again. She's doing it. She's great.
it's so, and Matthew Modine and all of the wonderful cast. And of course I haven't mentioned Hopper. I have to
Yeah.
mention him. I
Yes.
I have well here he's back in his sheriff's uni.
Yeah. We were like, should he end back in it? And the director was
Yeah.
like, yeah, you know what? Why not? Like, he's going to go back to what he knows and what he loves to do. So super full circle to put him back in that at the end.
Mhm. And then of course the question is 11
Ah,
this is the scenario is if 11 found some peace and she is living her best life kind of thing. Is that sort of what you were imagining in this moment for her?
yeah, yeah, and I think it's meant to, be open to interpretation to to the viewer to go like, is this a Mike's dream? Like, is this
Hmm.
Mike dreaming that she's there? Is this real life that she got out and she's living her best life? But I do think we wanted it to feel that whatever it is, she's like super content and happy and living in this beautiful place
Yeah.
and doesn't have need for want of much of anything but the clothes on her back. So we kind of just dressed them to feel like she's been wearing them a while. She's got provisions in her backpack, but she's out exploring and like living life and enjoying the world, but as she should be. If she's this, a prisoner of her own like brain for so long, and now she gets to be
Hmm.
free. So I loved that we got to kind of give her an outfit that felt like she could just be out in nature and self-sustainable for a while.
Absolutely. Well, before I let you go, I just, because obviously you must have wrapped this show a while ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So, can you share with us what if there's anything you're working on right now that you're allowed to tell us?
I'm not currently on anything right now, which is great. It's nice to have a break. But right after the show, I did work with Millie again. She did a feature for Netflix called Just Picture It. And it's a really cute rom com with Gabriel LaBelle. And it's about, I don't want to give too much away. I'm sure there'll be a trailer soon because I've heard it's been testing really well. So
Oh,
it's going to be a really cute rom com on Netflix that I think will come out next year. And then I did a silly little show for Hulu called Chad Powers. I did season 2. And
oh,
now
I have to watch it. I've heard it's amazing.
people that have watched it have really
Yeah,
liked it. It's
it's
very sweet.
sorry, what's the actor's name again that's in
Glenn
it?
Powell.
Oh, Glenn Powell, and he wears all kinds of disguises and things
Yeah.
like that, or he's
Yeah, he's
pretending.
like
I think, yeah.
prosthetics.
Oh, I have
Yeah.
to watch that. I've heard it's really, really good. Well, I'm a big fan
Yeah.
of Glenn Powell. So,
Yeah. But in the meantime,
well,
I'm just enjoying like being home in Los Angeles. So
totally.
yeah.
Yeah, because you must have. Did you have to shoot on location? Were you able to do some of it in California, or were you?
No, it was all in Atlanta for season 5. And so
Oh,
I had to, every time I physically move myself back out there. So back and forth for 7 years, it's really nice to kind of be home for a minute now.
oh, must yeah. I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Especially if you have a family, you have dogs or
I just have
cats.
2 cats now.
Yeah.
But I
So,
I started without him because I was like, "There's no way I could do this with cats." And then we had that writer's strike, and I foster
oh,
failed. Kept 2 cats.
well, anyway, I'm really glad you're having a little bit of downtime before you
Yeah.
think about what you want to do next, your next project.
Thank you.
And I know the cast; they've got such a bright future, and well, it'll be exciting to see some
Oh
of the
yeah,
things that they come out with, and then in the
absolutely.
in the years to come. So they have their whole year, lives ahead of them
They
after
do, and they're
dedicating 10
talented.
years.
Yes, they're so good.
Well, again, everyone, thank you so much for joining me in my discussion with Amy. She's the costume designer of Stranger Things, seasons 3 to 5. And like as I mentioned at the beginning, everything is out on Netflix and you can go binge the whole thing if you want or rewatch it if you've already watched it. So thanks so
Yes.
much, Amy, for
Thank you
joining
for
me. I
having
really
me.
appreciate it.